you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Maupin, for that wonderful introduction. And I want to just thank Kellogg and the Morehouse School of Medicine for Community Voices. It's a very important undertaking, and I am delighted to be able to do that. I don't know why I scribble notes that I then can't read or see, so we'll just have to wing it tonight, but it's wonderful to be here. And I want to just salute the young people that Malak has brought with her. I had the privilege of meeting them at her home and having a discussion with them, and I'll tell you, they asked some of the best questions, and their curiosity was just so amazing, and I'm just so proud of all of you. They really are going to be the leaders of tomorrow, and I'm just privileged to be here with them. And let's give them a big hand. Someone once said that when God made women, he was showing off. Well, when God made Malak Compton Rock, he was showing off. And I must say that when he created Soledad O'Brien, it was another divine extravaganza. These are two extraordinary women, and I am just so happy and honored to be here tonight to say thank you to them for who they are and all they do for all of us. The Children's Defense Fund, and I think everybody that works and cares about children, are so grateful for Malak's voice on behalf of the children of our nation and of our world. She is a true servant leader. She's just full of energy. She's just full of passion. She is this mother of two beautiful young girls whom she wants to see have what they need to grow up, and she wants other people's children to have what they need so that there can be a safe world for her own and for all children. She is a tireless child advocate. She works as being a global citizen. She is a creative entrepreneur of ideas and strategies for making visible the needs of the invisible and the voiceless. The children who are born abused or who are abused or neglected in our country every 35 seconds, she's a voice for them, and she has been a champion for them. The children who are born without health insurance in this rich nation every 39 seconds, and everybody tonight ought to commit to saying this year, well, we ought to get health insurance for everybody, But if we can't get it for everybody, and I believe we can, and we must work hard, you've got to make sure we get it for every child and pregnant woman. It is disgraceful that we have children without health and mental health coverage in the United States of America, and we need to do something about it. Malak speaks up for that, and I know she's coming next week for a child watch on children's health. She speaks up for the children who are orphaned or die from AIDS, and their moving scenes in Soledad's piece with her visiting some of these families and some of these children. And I want to just applaud the focus this year, Henri and Dr. Maupin, on incarceration and its impact on families and on all of us. And Malak is a big part in the Children's Defense Fund's crusade to break up the cradle-to-prison pipeline. That represents incarceration is becoming the new American apartheid. And if we don't name it and change it and replace it with a pipeline to college, we're going to lose the last 50 years of progress. And so I just applaud the focus this year, but I applaud Malak's voice on behalf of those who don't have a voice. That a black boy has a 1 in 3 chance of going to prison in his lifetime. I cannot tell you what a disaster that is, what the implications of that are for the black family, for political disempowerment, for economic disempowerment. So just wake up and let's get rid of that thing and let's really begin to reclaim our children. Malak is trying to do that. She's a bridge builder, as you have seen. She's built a bridge for these children from Brooklyn to South Africa, enabled them to see the power that they have and the commonality they have with children all over the world, and I know we're going to have a new group of global citizens. She is somebody who is committed to making a difference, and our journey for change is teaching other young people to make a difference, and we owe her a great deal of gratitude. I also just love her persistence. She came down on a Katrina child watch, but she didn't just come once. She came back again and again, and she invested in helping us start a freedom school near the 9th Ward, and those freedom schools have now spread to 30 freedom schools, and she still goes in and out trying to raise the concerns of those children, and I just love it because change in this country requires persistence, and she is persistent, and she is passionate, and she is caring, and she is a role model for us all. It is my deep honor, and with great love and gratitude for her extraordinary voice for children, that I present to her the Soledad O'Brien Award, Freedom's Voice Award, to Malak Compton Watt. She's wonderful.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mrs. Edelman. And thank you so much, Soledad O'Brien, for asking me to be a part of this incredible evening. I must admit, 8 months ago, when you told me about it, I knew it was special because it was named after you. And I also knew it was special because it was Morehouse. But I don't think I quite understood how special it was until Dr. Treadwell and her staff have been consistently working with me over the past couple of months. And I am just really honored to be here. I want to thank my mother, who could not be here tonight, because I owe everything to her. To whom much is given, much is expected. I feel she told me in the cradle, service is the rent we pay for living. Soledad is right. Mrs. Edelman could make money off of it. It is even written in my children's playroom across the wall when they enter. You are blessed children, but service is the rent you pay for living. If I get there before you do, I am obligated to bore a hole and put you through. My first boss told me that. Each one teach one. These are the values that I've been raised with, and the values that I've been so blessed to have been taught by many mentors in my life. This is a really special night because tonight I have people in this room who I just absolutely love and adore. First and foremost, I have my 4-year-old daughter, Zara, Savannah. Zara is a special child. She travels the world with her mother. She doesn't bat an eye when I say, she travels the world with her mother. She doesn't bat an eye when I say, we're going to South Africa. She doesn't bat an eye when she goes into the shanty towns and she has play dates and shacks. She slides down slides that are so rickety, I have to kind of look away. But she does it. She's made friends. Both of us are very excited because this summer we are bringing home Ntombi, a baby that we've met and fell in love with, who we are going to foster. And Zara is the first to say that Ntombi's crib has to be in her room. Okay, Lola's room. I also want to thank my daughter Lola, who is not here because she decided that being on the set with her father was a little more enticing. She's 6. But Lola taught me one of the most important lessons of my life. We were in South Africa, probably our second visit, and I was in one of the granny's shacks, and Lola said, and you know, the shacks are what you see. They are one room, they are hot, they are without electricity, without running water, and Lola got a little tired and hot and asked if she could go outside as I was speaking with the granny, and I said yes. After I spoke with the granny and I came out, Lola was playing with 2 little girls in the dirt, and they were drawing pictures with a rock. And I said, come on, Lola, it's time to go. We're going to go to someone else's home. And she said, Mommy, I don't want to go. I am having so much fun. I said, well, Lola, what are you doing? She said, what am I doing? I'm playing in the dirt with a rock. And it was such a beautiful lesson to me because it made me understand, like we all know on Christmas Day, that many kids prefer to play with the box than the toy that's inside. And I thank my child for opening my eyes to friendships and to the creativity of children. I also have a few good friends here tonight. Dwight Johnson, who is my children's godfather, also a fundraiser extraordinaire for nonprofits all over the world. But he also embraces all of my causes like his own, and was with us on the trip to South Africa, with us recently in New Orleans when we rebuilt houses in St. Bernard Parish for St. Bernard Project. That was wonderful. That was the latest Journey for Change mission last week. My friend Annie is here. Annie Hausman, raise your hand. Annie's my neighbor. We're blessed. We live in Bergen County, very wealthy neighborhood, but she's my girl from the Bronx Projects, my white girl from the projects, who has been extraordinarily blessed, and because of that, wants to make sure that her children understand the world at large, and not only volunteers with Journey for Change, but brings her children with us. And they have forged such a beautiful relationship with the Journey for Change kids. Thank you, Annie. I have the Salvation Army family here. Thank you, Captain and Mrs. Locke. Thank you, Major and Mrs. Hickman, from traveling from New York to be here today. Captain Locke is the first person I called and said, hey, I want to do an event with Target. I want to put a library. I want to put a computer lab. Whoops, it's okay. Don't get mad at him. And I want to take these kids to South Africa, and who believed that it was something that could happen. Major Hickman always makes sure that we have the insurance and the approval of headquarters to do so. So thank you both. Mrs. Edelman, words cannot express how much I appreciate you being here. My mother introduced me to your advocacy. I'm going to cry. And your writing at a very young age. I now read your books, your spiritual books, some of which I purchased at Haley Farm last year with my children. One of them will get married there. I have the vision coming across the bridge, going into the chapel. And now I am on the board of the Children's Defense Fund. I mean, you guys, you just don't understand. When I was a teenager, I had two heroes that I worship. Marian was on one wall. I was the only kid at 13 who had pictures of civil rights leaders and, you know. But then on the other wall was Prince, and I said, I want to meet Marian, Wright, Edelman, and Prince. And I cannot believe that today I have met Marian, Wright, Edelman, and Prince. My dreams have come true. Thank you for this great honor and challenge to bring equality to America's poor children. I have really no idea how I ended up on this stage. It's so bizarre to me. But I do know one thing. It started when I left the entertainment industry. In college, I'm a graduate of Howard. I wrote a letter to a phenomenal woman who remains one of my biggest mentors, Terry Williams. And I said, Terry, I've read about you. I want to come and work with you when I graduate. And she called me in my dorm room one night and said, you can work for me if you work for me for free. And I had a couple of other job offers, and to convince my parents that I should go to the most expensive city in the world and work for free, instead of go to one was Dallas, you know, and work for money was difficult, but they allowed me to follow my heart as they always have. And it was wonderful because my work ethic comes from Miss Terry Williams, but entertainment was not for me. One day I was reading the New York Times, and there was a job description for UNICEF, the U.S. Fund for UNICEF, that said, entertainment person with PR background, celebrity relations, needed to run, plan celebrity relations and special events for the U.S. Fund for UNICEF, the world's leading organization to bring clean and safe water, education, and so much more to children in 150 countries. And I believed with my heart that that was my job. And I don't know if there's many of you who've applied to New York Times jobs, but you only get like this number and you can't follow up. You just like send your resume. 3 months later, they called me and I stayed all day and I interviewed, and that was the change in my life that I believe is the only reason that I'm standing on this stage today. UNICEF made me understand that my life belonged in service. And because even after I left to start Style Works and work for other causes, I kept such amazing relationships. When my husband and I and my children 3 years ago went to South Africa on vacation for Christmas, I called my boss, my old boss, the president of the U.S. Fund for UNICEF. He's now at the Gates Foundation. And I said, would you please set up a UNICEF visit for us in South Africa so I can see the projects? One of the projects was in Deep Slit, an illegal shanty town of 150,000 people, filled with grannies who are heads of households and orphans. And as I sat and I went from household to household and then sat in a granny support group, as I was leaving, one of the grannies said to me, so what are you gonna do? And I turned around and I said, excuse me? She said, what are you gonna do? She said, so many people come and they stare at us and they look at us. And she named several very famous individuals who had done that. She said, but they do nothing. And I said, well, what do you want me to do? And she said, we need to make money. We need to be able to support our grandchildren. So I told her I would come back to find out how I could help. And 3 months later, I did. And for the last 3 years, I've gone to South Africa every 3 months. And we now run income-generating programs in Deep Slit and Soweto, as well as direct funding for orphans so that they can go to school, so that they can have food and electricity and things that you need in order to be successful in school. In the meantime, my husband, who is from Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, and whose mother sent him to the Bushwick Salvation Army for after-school care and summer camp, he was also baptized there, kept doing these really cool things for the kids there once he became the Chris Rock that we know. And finally, I became curious. And I called Captain Locke one day and left a message and said, I want to do an event with you with my favorite retailer, Target. I shop there, and they're very philanthropic, $3 million a week. And we did that event. It was a Christmas event, and it was wonderful, and it has changed the trajectory of my life. From that event, we've built a computer lab and a library. And one day, I was at the Salvation Army. Literally, the next day, I flew to South Africa, and I was sitting in Granny Skosana's shack. Granny Skosana, 3 kids have died of AIDS. She's raising 5 grandchildren, 1 great-grandchildren who's 2, and his name is Chris Rock, who I love dearly. And I told Granny Skosana, whose shack is like, I tell people, I say, I know you can't understand this, but there's my house and there's Granny Skosana's house. And those are the 2 houses that I feel most comfortable in this world. And I said, Granny Skosana, I need to bring the kids from Bushwick to South Africa. And after telling Captain Locke and Evan Hickman's team and Salvation Army South Africa and the NGOs that I work with on the ground in South Africa about Journey for Change, empowering youth through global service, and got them on board, then it took a village, and the village came together. I won't tell you the whole village. It's on my website. Please take a look, because these are such philanthropic, phenomenal companies who believed in this vision. www.angelrockproject.com. And we went to South Africa. Why? Because I couldn't understand, while I was always hearing on the news or people saying, you know, why are these kids in jail? Why don't they do this? Why don't they take advantage of their situations? Why don't they dream? Why don't they this? And I'm like, hey, if you have never left your community, if you don't have parents in your life possibly, or people in your life who are positive, how can you expect it? And so I felt that by travel. I believe travel opens up your mind. I also believe travel gives you a level of confidence that nothing else does. I believe that service makes you feel so good and also makes you feel confident when you can give back and affect change for someone else's life. And like Soledad said, I wanted them to come back and understand that yes, you live in Bushwick, and yes, you might live in the project, and yes, your school might not be the best, and yes, your home life might not be the best, but you do have public school, and in South Africa there isn't. Your books are free, in South Africa they're not. You don't have to wear a uniform, in South Africa you do. And to take advantage of the inherent blessings that we have in the U.S. As global ambassadors, the 3 main points of their year is education, service, and advocacy. So we've been to Washington, where they've advocated on the Hill on behalf of themselves and orphans. We've been to New Orleans to serve. They did 3 days of service leading into the new year in Bushwick, where Jeremy was a little embarrassed to pick up trash in Bushwick, but ended up being the best trash picker-upper that there was. And understood that he deserved to live in a clean community, and that he could affect change. I want to thank Soledad O'Brien for going on this journey with me and with the kids. I want to thank Michelle Roja, phenomenal, phenomenal producer, who does her job really better than any producer that I've ever seen, but at the same time shows me that she cares and loves for these kids as much as I do, and I appreciate that so much. I want to thank Mark Nelson and John Klein. Soledad set up a meeting with me, with them, and said she was coming, and then the day before she said, I have to go do a shoot. I'm not coming, you go in and talk to them. And I said, what? What are you talking about? You're not coming with me. But I guess it worked out, Soledad, because they were phenomenal, and they believed that this was something that should be shown to the world. The Journey for Change kids, all 30 of you, have brought tremendous joy and love into my life. Our program has changed me in ways that you will never understand. The Bushwick Salvation Army is now my home, and as Chris says to me, and he said to me when I was leaving, he said, the thing I'm most proud of is that my children, Lola and Zara, run around the Bushwick Salvation Army, even though they live in New Jersey, and they run around the same halls that I did, and they're just as comfortable there as they are in Alpine, New Jersey. It has become our home, and it's the home of the kids, and Journey for Change is our global world. I have 6 of the kids here today. I have Sadara, raise your hand. Deja, Queen, Wayne, Joshua, and Jeremy. I hope that through Journey for Change, I am helping to bring a unique and different approach to empowering at-risk youth to take an active role in our society and in our local, national government, and to be a part of a global world. I'd like to thank, again, Soledad O'Brien, without whom this award could not be possible, without whom this documentary definitely could not be possible. I'd like to thank Dr. Treadwell for this amazing award and for your amazing work on behalf of people in our country. Mrs. Edelman, thank you so much for coming tonight. I look forward to being with you in Washington, D.C. next week, advocating for health care for every child in America. Dr. Maupin, thank you so much for all that you're doing and for coming over to our table and embracing our kids and for telling them that if they want to go to medical school, this is a medical school for them. And that you'll even help the few kids who said they wanted to go to law school instead. And I'd also like to thank all of tonight's honorees. You guys are amazing. This is wonderful. Thank you so much.